Bottleneck tends to be the owner a lot of times, where because we're people of many hats, and we're like, oh, I can do this. Let me put that hat on. Oh, I can be the copywriter. Let me put that hat on.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, where we're dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running an online business does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. If you're struggling with scaling your sales, Electric Eye is here to help. To apply to work with us, visit electriceye.io/connect to learn more. Now let's get on with the show. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. Today, I'm excited to welcome to the show a fellow believer in there's no such thing of getting rich easy. It's all hard work, and so I'm excited to get into that at the end. But Beav Brodie from Tactical Baby Gear, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'll correct you on that. It's Beav Brodie.
Beav. See, we do this before, and I always get it right. And then I just double down and do it wrong every time I record these things. But we're going to leave it in because we've already said we're not editing anything out of this one. So
that's real life. I do it all the time too. I'll be have some big name guest, and it's I know their name. I know this person, and then I'm introduce them completely wrong and feel like an idiot.
Yeah, and I always.
But that's life.
In the pre-show, I'm always hey, are we? Am I saying this right? And they're like, you got it spot on. And then I do it, and they're like, you did it wrong, because that's my brain doesn't.
Anyways, yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here and accepting me for who I am.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Let's talk about Tactical Baby Gear first. Founder story again. I know my listeners, my audience likes the founder story because they like hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. Is that the right way to use that phrase?
Yeah, I think so. So the founder story, I like a lot of other great businesses, it's something that kind of came out of necessity, and I was solving my own problem. And that problem being that, I was having a second daughter, and I knew, being hands-on, like a super hands-on dad the first time with my first daughter, and then finding out my wife was pregnant and it was another girl. And I was like, fuck, man, I got to carry my wife's girly purple flower diaper bag again. And I don't want to do that. And for the listeners who are I'm a, heavily tattooed, covered in tattoos. I'm your dude's dude. I come from building custom cars and motorcycles. And, it's I just, a girly diaper bag didn't fit my personality and my lifestyle. Not that it was going to keep me from being a good parent, but I was well, I'm such a hands-on dad. I'm carrying the diaper bag more often than she is. She was working a full-time job till 10 and 11 o'clock at night. And I was picking the kids up from daycare. I was bringing them home. I was changing diapers and making dinner and doing bedtime and bath time. And, I was super hands-on dad, running all the errands. So I constantly had the diaper bag. And I was if we're having a girl again, and I know that means she's going to carry this purple bag, I want my own bag that fits my personality, that doesn't make me feel like this is something I have to do versus something I get to do, sort of mentality. So anyways, I went searching Google for cool men's diaper bags or whatever. And this is back in 2013, and nothing existed in that world aside from maybe the black or gray version of what still looked like a diaper bag through and through. So I was yeah, man, these things still just yeah. So again, my background in automotive and building custom cars and stuff, I did upholstery, as part of that. So I've got skills in sewing, cut and sew, sewing machines, things like that. So I decided I was going to make my own diaper bag and make it more of a military tactical style. That's kind of another community I was a part of, was the hardcore gear gun guys, stuff like that. I was I want a tactical diaper bag. And then I was ooh, that's a good idea. And I know there's a lot of other dudes like me, all my buddies would prefer that over, having to carry their wife's bag. And they're all oh, that's brilliant. That's cool. Make me one, stuff like that. And I was I got something here. And then I sort of treated it like a side hustle for a long time. And now it's grown into this big 8-figure business. And, here we are.
All right. So there was a lot of growth in the last sentence there. So let's talk about, so you got the idea, you couldn't find what you were looking for, which time and time again, we hear that on this. So you're I'm just going to DIY it. I'm going to do it myself. How many times were you kind of, redoing your quote unquote, prototype, or, was it how long was that thing, kind of getting it from a prototype to, I'm assuming you cut and sewed the first one yourself.
Right.
How long was the journey from that until you realized that you couldn't produce these fast enough by yourself, that you need to to essentially get in touch with, I'm assuming, is like a fulfillment house or like a seamstress company,
Factory. Yeah.
Yeah, factory.
So it was pretty quickly because again, so I had a car shop at the time. I was already running a business. I'm, an entrepreneur at heart. So I was working for myself then, running a car business from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then I was putting the kids to bed and then coming home and working on tactical baby gear stuff, whether that was Instagram and Facebook or trying to figure out the e-commerce world at that time, which, in 2013 is a bit different from where it is today.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot less information about it and still a lot of things to figure out. And it wasn't, we still, even back then, weren't completely in a mobile first environment. So there's just a lot of things. It was in this weird transition phase to kind of where we are now. But it was pretty quickly, I was like, there's no way, and when I started to get the traction through Instagram community I had in the automotive world, on Instagram, to kind of give myself some shout outs and network with some of my other friends in that world that had huge followings, to get some shout outs from them. And that really, really kickstarted it. And there was like, holy shit, there's no way I can keep up with this. Like, I've got to get someone else to make these bags. So I outsourced like small batches of bags for a while until I could get to like a real factory that was like, could do hundreds and hundreds of bags at a time. But it was pretty quickly. I was like, I've got another business to run. I got 2 kids to take care of, and the side hustle, and I can't be the one making the product. It's not scalable,
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't take long for me to realize that I needed to outsource that.
Gotcha. Let's be honest today. All of your customers are going to have questions. And what are you doing to manage all those questions? Do you have a help desk for your business? One of our sponsors of today's episode is Gorgias, and Gorgias is the #1 rated help desk for e-commerce. It integrates seamlessly with Shopify. We have installed it on a bunch of stores. It's also used by brands like Movement and Rothy's. And what it does is it takes all of your customer insights and information, brings it into one amazing dashboard so you can solve their problem as quickly as possible. If you want to give Gorgias a try, visit gorgias.link/honest. That's GORGIAS.LINK/HONEST to get your second month free. So within building this whole community kind of on the back of Instagram and like reaching out and finding customers and the communities that kind of responds to this type of product, like what would you say was like a winning strategy for you back then? And then would you say it still works now, or is there something you would do now and where you'd put your focus if you're trying to go from kind of just 0 to 1 and I need to get my first couple sales, I need to get feedback from real people, I need to know if I'm onto something here?
In terms of Instagram strategy?
Yeah.
I think hashtags are still super powerful in terms of like using the correct ones to help for discoverability, but also going through those relevant hashtags that are relevant to your brand or your product and commenting on other people's stuff with genuine comments, not spamming them with shit, but like genuine comments about, for me, I was going through hashtags like newborn or expecting, and it's like, hey, congrats, blah, blah, blah. Especially if I can find pictures that had dads in them. And I'll be like, oh, I would just say, some genuine nice comment about the picture and not, hey, come buy one of our bags or, whatever. I never go on a first impression to somebody with my hand out asking for money. I think that's a terrible strategy.
I think
so. What's that?
Leading with value is like the #1 thing you can learn in business is you got to lead with value.
I think so. And maybe it's not always value, but just it needs to just be like organic, I think is the best way, without expecting something in return. So just because I commented on this woman's post on Instagram that was like expecting or 28 weeks or whatever, and I was like, hey, congrats, so excited for you, or it's a gender reveal, it's like it's a girl, and you're like, hey, congrats on the girl, you guys are gonna love it, blah, blah. I'm not expecting them to come buy something, but it's just that top of funnel awareness in a very organic, genuine way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not spammy, which then leads people to be like, oh, that was nice. And like, oh, tactical baby gear, what's that? And they click on it and they're like, oh, these are cool bags. My husband would love this. They go to surf the website. And then, then ideally you're hitting them with retargeting ads and they showed some intent. And that's where I start to get a little more transactional, right? Is like people that showed a little bit more intent. And then you have to obviously work them down the funnel to a purchase in a non-spammy way, in my opinion. That's how we structure our business. I try not to be spammy,
No, I think that's people all the time. They ask us, they're like, hey, like I want to get into paid media, Facebook and Instagram, people are winning there, right? And it's like, well, kind of like, you missed the boat. It's not cheap anymore. But I think having
Got to pay to play. Yeah.
That's a good first strategy. Top of the funnel, commenting. You and the rest of the team are just searching hashtags and being genuine human beings, and then hit.
Yeah, that was the strategy in the early days. Like, I'm not going through as many hashtags as I used to. Like, you used to. We've got a lot of money running behind ads at top of funnel stuff. So, but I think, like, to your point, your question was, how do you go from 0 to 1? And I think that's the way to do it. Like, even though we are living in a pay to play world with social media on the big platforms, there's still a huge opportunity for the organic stuff if you put the effort in.
Yep.
So it's not an easy thing, like you said before, where it's all organic and it's, Instagram that used to be chronological and you saw every post from every person you followed. Those days are gone for sure. But if you're willing to put in the effort and grind through commenting on people's stuff, replying to your comments, actually replying to your DMs, it blows my mind how many people, seem like they're like too good to reply back to somebody's DM or something. Like that blows my mind.
Bad customer service.
It's awful. Without customer service, you have nothing.
Without customers, you have a business that's not making you any money.
Right.
And then that's just a terrible hobby at that point.
Consumer centric brand or business in order to like have meaningful growth and wealth. Like, you can't be all about yourself. You have to be about the consumer first and then figure out how to make it work.
Yeah. And so if you're looking to get into paid ads and you have more time than money, which is a lot of young brands, start with that top of the funnel strategy, just finding comments, finding hashtags and commenting genuine stuff. Don't expect anything, but then you can retarget them for way less money if they've hit your website or if you want to do Instagram engagement or what have you. And that's going to save essentially half your budget, depending on how aggressive your strategy is, because prospecting is the most expensive thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we lose money, and a lot of big brands lose money on that top of the funnel stuff, the awareness. Once they get into the mid and lower funnel stuff, like, you already know how much intent they have or don't have. So like, you can focus your money on those dollars where you start to see the actual ROI. So like, put the hours into the top of the funnel for free, and then spend money on the lower funnel stuff. It's a way better strategy if you have time for it.
Yeah, it sounds like you know a bit about Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising. What's like I guess some tips to look out for if you're hiring a consultant, or like, where should your focus be? On what metrics should it be if you're out there trying to, grow your business through that lens? Yeah,
that's a good question. I struggle with hiring consultants or agencies myself. I'm sort of a control freak like that, but I'm also like, I have a marketing mind and I want to control our voice and our customer experience in that regard. So we do all that stuff in house. I'll give you the metrics that I pay attention to. And like we just talked about, the top of funnel. So it's really difficult, in my opinion, especially with an agency, to give them one metric to focus on. So if you're focused on ROAS, return on ad spend, or the ROI, or the ACOS, the acquisition cost, and stuff like that, like they focus so heavily on what the ROI is for the whole ad account that it starts to get spammy. They're focused on way too transactional content and things like that can turn some people off. And then you also have to realize there's like a time and a place for that ROI. So like the mid and lower funnel stuff. If you can convert customers on top funnel stuff, by all means, go for it. I'm not discouraging that, but be very careful about how you do it. Anyways, back to like the metric thing though, it's like, if you're focused on like solely ROI, it's hard to grow. If you're like, listen, I'm going to go full growth mode, and it's like, I'm going to, just dump tons of money at the top of funnel and get like massive awareness, know that like your ROI is going to come down a little bit. So I tend to look at like different parts of the funnel and how they're performing individually versus like one metric to rule them all.
Yeah.
Typically, I mean, that's kind of a loaded question, and there's a lot of different ways to skin that cat, but like,
oh yeah, no, it's absolutely a loaded question. It's just it's when people are like, my agency's always getting me 10x on everything, and I'm like, your agency is not prospecting.
Yeah. Anybody, like I could run a retargeting ad for any e-commerce brand who's never done any retargeting and get them 26x at the bottom of the funnel. Like, that is probably a pretty easy thing to do for a lot of people that have a decent product.
Yep.
That's another big key. If they have a good product, like,
and traffic,
you can get crazy ROI at the bottom of the funnel, retargeting high intent people who maybe abandon a cart and like, hey, I got you 26x. But like, you have to continue to fill that funnel with people. So you have to do the prospecting. And then, if your ad account's performing at like a 5x and you're having massive growth, like that's really good.
Yeah.
People get hung up on these Facebook ad gurus that, are 10x and 20x. And like, I don't give a shit if you're so good, like you're not growing, period. It's just not happening. Or you're not telling the whole truth and painting the whole picture. You had one campaign that did one thing during Black Friday that got this person ridiculous results, and that's what you're selling people on, and it's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta ask for blended across everything, and then you gotta ask them to break it down like top, middle, and bottom. Those mean different things to everyone else, but that's like enough information to know. But
it gives you some indicators on, hey,
yeah,
you need to focus more on this, or this is really great. Like, let's let that keep doing its thing, and let's fuel that fire and add more people to it for sure. I think another big thing I've noticed for a lot of people I consult for and help, with their brands, when I dig into someone's ad account and I'm like, dude, this thing was crushing it. Like, why didn't you just spend more money? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, this is insane. Like, if I was doing this, I'd spend every penny I had. Or what do you
just turn it back on?
Why? He's like, and they're like, well, it didn't do that good for a few days, so I just turned it off. I'm like, you need more than 3 days of data to make a decision like that. As you know, it sounds like, the Pixel, that thing can collect data for, depending on how you have your, what's the word I'm looking for?
How fast you're spending money, essentially. So how fast it can.
Well, not even that, but the attribution model. Like, is it?
Yeah.
Are you looking at this at 7 days, 14 days, 20 days, whatever? So it's like it's collecting data for 7 days for somebody that clicked on it today and bought a week from now. You're not even giving that a chance if you're turning it off after 3 days.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they see that like several days after turning off, it's like got better and better results because those people maybe finally purchased and they're like, oh, it wasn't doing that good when I turned it off. I'm like, why'd you turn it off?
Oh man, it's so funny you say that, because what happens sometimes at the bottom with those ads is someone sees it in like the middle. Maybe they weren't that intent and they're like, oh, you know what? I really wanted to buy that hat. So they go and then they add to cart and abandon it because they're like, they're probably going to send me a coupon code. And then Klaviyo does the heavy lifting. And then, and then it just gets the job done. This episode is brought to you by Klaviyo. Klaviyo knows modern e-commerce is moving fast. Between email, mobile, and web, it can be hard to keep up with consumers and personalize their experience with your brand. Think of Klaviyo as a central command center for all your digital marketing needs. With email marketing, dynamic website content, social retargeting, SMS automation, and more, you'll take back control of the customer experience and own your business growth. That's why it's trusted by over 30,000 brands like Casemate, Kapari, and Brooklinen. Ready to find out how Klaviyo can help your business grow? Visit klaviyo.com to schedule a demo. That's KLAVIYO.com. Because you got to think about it. It's like it's so hard to be like, I need this one channel to work for me. Like it's got to be a whole fulfilling system. It's got to work together. It's got to be cohesive. And all the messaging's got to be the same.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of how the campaigns are cohesive with one another, you mean?
Yeah. Sometimes I see people offering like 15 there and 10 there. And like, it just, don't use the stock stuff. Go through and think about it. Be like, all right, this is the messages that we want to get out here on all this stuff with like kind of pushing people. I guess that'd be more of a strategy on like the middle and bottom of the funnel, like how you want to, what incentives that you want to give them. I don't know why this brought this up is, do we audit so many stores? Because I'm an agency in real life. This is obviously marketing for my agency. Of course. Here, the veil's gone.
Right. This is top of funnel awareness.
This is exactly what it is. We audit so many accounts and we get in there and these people, they'll have like 2 SMS apps running at the same time live, collecting emails in different places. And then like a third, and then they'll have like Klaviyo, but then they still have the abandoned carts on from Shopify. So like, I'll add something to my cart and then I'll get like 19 different messages that say different things. It's all over the place with different coupon codes. I'm like, how does...
Hey, and to that point, we talked about customer service. That creates a customer service nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a customer service and team in place like I do, or even if you're doing it yourself and you're starting out and all of a sudden, hey, I just bought this thing, but I just got this 15% off coupon code and I use this 10% off. Can I get 5% back? And all this stuff. And then you're trying to figure out, it becomes a huge nightmare. Like the least amount of customer service you can do, the least amount of touch points with that customer on that end, like the better. Like you need to focus your time on something else.
Yeah, that's like that's like a huge marketing point for some of these like return solutions that are out there in the ecosystem. They're like, you cut down on talking to people. Anytime you can automate like human interaction, it's gonna make your business more profitable. It's just
Right.
some people only see dollars and cents on the front end. They don't like understand it on the back.
Right. Yep.
Man, we went down a huge rabbit hole there with Facebook all the way through it.
Oh, dude, we can nerd out. Like, we can keep going. You don't have to stop me. I love it.
Oh, it's great. So now, like you said, Tactical Baby, it's grown since the inception. It's this huge brand now. So I'm assuming your guys' strategy has changed a little bit. Where are you guys spending more of your time these days as far as like top of the funnel, new customer acquisition? And I have a follow-up question. What was the biggest mistake you've made in like something you tried in the history of the brand? I always like that one as well.
Okay. So
those are two different time frames. I just threw them at you. Like that's how my brain works today.
yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Like our strategy overall, we spend a lot of time, like a lot of time on Instagram, still a good bit of time on Facebook, but a lot of engagement with community people on Instagram for sure. Although a lot of our retargeting ads and things of that nature really convert best on Facebook. You got to think, you have to really try to dissect your demographic and your customer and where are they spending time. You've got, for us, it's like new parents who are excited and they're posting pictures of ultrasounds to their family on Facebook and stuff like that, not as much on Instagram. So we tend to convert pretty well through Facebook, but we spend a lot of like engagement time on Instagram. For sure. And that strategy is maintained. We're doing, we do stuff on Pinterest and we do, we dabble in a lot of the other platforms, but like we do a lot of heavy lifting through Facebook and Instagram for sure. Man, biggest mistake.
Or maybe if you could go back in time and talk to yourself, that's another way to think about it. What would you be like? Hey, you should don't do it this way. You should probably do this instead.
I look at my ad account a lot of times, Facebook ad account. And I look at historical data and I look back at like what campaigns crushed it, what about it? And I try to dissect it. Was it the copy? Was it the photo? Was it the targeting? What audience was it that was crushing it? Like stuff like that. And I look back and I go several years back and I look at stuff and I'm like, holy shit, the ROI on stuff that I was like, I should have spent so much money. But then I'm like, oh, but I couldn't because we didn't have enough inventory.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother side of it. Selling a physical product is like, keeping up with inventory and reinvesting money in that. And that's not cheap, we have kind of an expensive product. And when you're selling through the amount that we sell through and the volume that we do, like you're investing millions and millions of dollars into inventory. And bootstrapping all of it. Like we don't have investors. We don't have money backing us and all that stuff. So like we've had to fund our way to the top and where we are now. I shouldn't say to the top, but to where we are now. So we've been limited, and if only I had more money to buy more inventory, then I would have spent 4 times as much money on Facebook or whatever, and had even more growth. So that's one thing that I always look at, like I should have spent more money.
Yeah, I always like to think of it like there's the 3 phases of growing a brand, and the first one is product market fit. Be like, do you have something anyone wants? Like that's the hardest thing, figuring that out, like finding something that people want to buy. And you've got the message behind it. Once you've got that figured out, like then you go into pretty much scaling, but not in a way where it's like scale for the sake of scale. It's like, okay, now you got to grow the business. And in that phase, I think what you need to do, like when you solved for that, is when you can figure out like the 2 or 3 things that you can do to literally like, if I put effort here, I'm going to get more sales. Like it's black and white. It's like it's as black and white as it can be. Mm-hmm. And once you figure that out and you do that for a couple of years, you venture into this like phase 3 of things, which is just like finances. It's like the part that no one wants to deal with any business becomes the last part to deal with for most successful e-commerce businesses. You're like, cool. How do we get our margins down? How do we get our lead times down? How do we do inventory planning? How do where are all of our sunk costs? Where are all of our lost revenues coming from? Which is, something that I don't think people talk about much. Not saying you have to, but
yeah. And I think that's part of the reason we've had great success is because my business partner, who I brought on a couple years after starting, is like a finance guru. He's obsessed. He's like super OCD, spreadsheets open all day, like number crunching kind of person. And I attribute a lot of like our early finances to the success that we've had because we were able to like maximize profits to reinvest into inventory and just buy as much inventory as we could afford. So like really paying attention to that and not spending money on dumb shit or paying ourselves a ton of money when we didn't have the money to pay ourselves. Like instead of paying ourselves, we just bought more inventory so we could grow this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then putting that foundation in place, whether, like you're talking about with scaling of like, what things can we automate that help the workflow so that I can focus on something else to help scale that, and then, as the foundation, as your business grows, like the foundation grows, and you have to have different foundational pieces in place at different times. So it's like you can do an awful lot by yourself or one or two people and scale and grow and be, $1 million business with just a couple people, depending on your product and if you're like physically making a product yourself, that can be very difficult. But if you're outsourcing that to a factory and you're just managing a lot of that stuff, like you could do $1 million by yourself. Like that's not that difficult really. But then to get from like say $2 to $4 million, like you need some customer service help. Like you get to a scale and you're just dealing with more people and more volume to where now that team needs to grow and scaling that. And then to get from that 4 or 5 to 7 million and 8 million, you need this in place. And then you start to hit the 10 millions and 8 figures and you're like, there's just a lot of shit going on and we need some more help, and then you start to realize where the bottlenecks are.
Yeah. And
how do I put someone in that role so that that's not the bottleneck? And that bottleneck tends to be the owner a lot of times because, we're people of many hats and we're like, oh, I can do this. Let me put that hat on. Oh, I can be the copywriter. Let me put that hat on. Oh, I can manage this. Let me put that hat on. You get to the point where you're doing too many things and then people are waiting on you and this gets slipped through the cracks and all this stuff. So you just have to have the foundation in place to get to certain levels to continue to scale that. Mm-hmm. It is a huge thing that I've learned along the way. And we still struggle with that on a daily basis. But it's a really interesting thing. And it's a cool and humbling experience to go through those things too. But it's also very frustrating when you realize that you're the bottleneck to the whole thing.
I mean, that's essentially the CEO's job or the founder's job is to replace themselves as many times as they can.
It's hard to do because like myself, there's some things that like I just don't want to let go of. And again, coming from like an automotive background where I was the one doing things and cutting and welding, fabricating, sewing, just building really cool custom stuff to like wanting to be in here, like doing the things, making videos, editing the podcast. Like I'm a creator. I like to make things and go from nothing to something. And now, as a visionary and a CEO, like I'm sort of just like trying to articulate my thoughts to other people and hopefully, and they're getting it done. And a lot of times they do it way better than I would have done it because like that's their expertise. They do that one thing. They do it really, really well. I was okay at it, but I still enjoyed it. So it's like, it's tough for people, like myself to like let go of certain things especially when you're super passionate about it. So I kind of have a dual role and like a CEO/CMO where I still control a lot of the marketing and strategy around that because I really love it. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough.
You mentioned something there, visionary. Are you a fan of Traction by Gino Wittman?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, it's a book that uses that phrase as kind of one of the key elements of a business.
I would agree with that. You say book. I'm not really sure what books are because I don't read anything. I was on a podcast recently. It was like, hey, all right, what's the best book you've read recently? I'm like, I don't read books. I hardly read my email. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's a good one, but I'm not going to push it on you. You like to consume your content in other ways. Yeah.
I'm a visual person, man. I could watch videos and stuff like that all day. Like reading I think mainly because I'm like I'm not like a fast reader. So it takes me so long to consume stuff through words versus like a picture where I could digest that in like a fraction of a second and understand exactly, but like try to read 3 sentences and forget about it. It's awful.
Yeah. It's one of those things you got to put in your reps. Like, oh yeah, but,
for sure.
I usually read a bunch of business books, so I can have smart things to say on this, but I'm reading, The Name of the Wind. It's like some crazy high fantasy novel right now, which is awesome because I'm a giant nerd. Mm-hmm. Want to get each new episode of Honest Ecommerce sent straight to your phone? Join our VIP texting list for updates on new episodes and exclusive deals from our partners. Text Honest VIP, that's HONEST VIP, to 72599 to join. By the way, we're powering our text messages with Postscript, the #1 text message marketing app for Shopify stores. Check out the show notes for a link to install Postscript for free today. So you talked about something a little bit ago, and you were talking about making those initial hires. I guess, what would you say if you're going to go back and be like, what would you say was like the first crucial hire you had to make when you're kind of scaling the team beyond like key partners, i.e. beyond like manufacturing and stuff? Like, who was the first person to like actually join the company?
The first outside person, aside from the owners, was a customer service person to handle all the inbound customer service stuff, emails. Hey, I want to make an exchange, all the way to, defect stuff, or, hey, do you guys ship to this country, or, any of that kind of just inbound email stuff, and Facebook messages. That was huge. That took a lot off our plate because, we were doing a lot of just prospecting and getting out there in the world, and just created a lot of questions because we created a product that didn't exist in the world. So people were like asking questions, one about the product, or two of how quickly they can get it, or when it's going to ship, or, just stuff. But then you learn a lot from that. So, to that point, this is sort of off topic a little bit, but very relevant to the podcast, taking the inbound customer service stuff. And if you get a lot of those common questions, to make sure you're answering those questions on the website. If you're like, oh, people want to know when it's going to ship, and you have an answer for that, and that like ships within 24 hours, or ships same day, or order by this time and it ships today, or, any of those kind, like trying to reduce those touch points, like we talked about earlier. So, that was just kind of a side thought as I had about customer service stuff, but using that information to your advantage to answer them on the website up front is huge. But yeah, customer service was a big first hire that took a lot off our plate to allow us to really focus on other areas of the business for sure.
And you don't have to give it to the dollar, but do you remember about where you guys were in like yearly, like where it was something that you had to consider?
Somewhere around $1 million, I think. It's hard to say because this person was also working for me doing car stuff. So as I like shut down the car business, I just transitioned him over to tactical baby gear. So I don't really remember when that happened, but it was a crucial point for us. Like, it was game changing.
Yeah. I think our first hire at the agency was a project manager to just essentially make sure everything was getting done that we said was getting done. Like,
not letting stuff slip through the cracks.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what customer service ends up falling on everyone's plate on the leadership team at any brand. It's like, we'll get to it. Like everyone has access to that account. Like, we can all answer questions. We'll get to it when we get to it. Mm-hmm. But when it's like 3 people's responsibility, they think someone else is going to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Trying to delegate that. Have a chain of command where it's like, and we use customer service, softwares. So like Zendesk or Gorgias or whatever. So that way you can assign things to certain people at that point, right? Try to eliminate some of those like, oh, I thought you were going to answer that.
No, not anymore. It's assigned to you, bud. Yep. So now that you've replaced yourself in your job about half a dozen times, maybe more, you're kind of branching out more and doing more consulting?
Yeah, I've always done a little bit of that, dabbled in it. I had I still have a YouTube channel, and I create a lot of content around this stuff because I have a huge passion for it. And I love to help people. So I, dabbled around in trying to do tutorials on how to do Facebook ads and things like that. Well, then, those videos was like this, like top of funnel awareness, where, people would reach out. Hey, I saw your video on this. Like, would you, help us with our stuff? Blah, blah, blah. So I'd fly to North Carolina and spend 2 days with a company and, help them with stuff or put things in place, or just open their eyes to like, hey, we've always been, B2C. We got a brick and mortar store, but we want to go online. And, we saw some of your videos on YouTube and, blah, 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 blah. So, I've always kind of dabbled in some of the consulting stuff, for the last probably 3 or 4 years, I'd say. I've been doing less and less of it now because I just don't have the bandwidth. I just don't have the time. So like even my YouTube channel, I used to upload like twice a week. Now it's like twice a month, but I still like have a passion for doing that stuff and helping people. Just because I remember being there myself and wishing, like, I kind of want to be the resource of information that I wish I had when I was starting out. Because again, in 2013, when I started doing e-commerce, like there wasn't as much information and it was hard to weed through a lot of it. And there was like conflicting information. It was like, do this, no, don't do that, or whatever. So it was very difficult. So like, I want to be a resource of information for the things that I know are tried and true, that have worked for me, that have gotten us this far, that are ethical ways of doing business and things of that nature. So yeah, that's my intern consulting. I just like to help people because I think it's the right thing to do.
No, I can agree with that. So before I let you go, is there anything I didn't ask that you think is worthwhile?
Man, I don't know. I think we covered quite a bit of good stuff. We could go down so many different side streets here, but I don't know. I don't know that I have anything super particular to talk about other than, just to my last point, like doing things ethically. There's a lot of like get rich quick schemes out there. A lot of these, Mike Winnett, as I kind of mentioned this guy's name to you earlier.
Yeah.
He's a YouTuber. He's got a channel. I think it's Mike Winnett is the name of his YouTube channel. And he's on this entrepreneur, like exposing entrepreneurs, where they're like fake entrepreneurs trying to con you into buying their program or their ebook or their whatever their thing is that they're trying to sell. But he's got this whole thing on like exposing all these people and how they do it. And he spent a ton of money going to all the big conferences and all the stuff where they promise that you're going to make $1 million within 6 months and blah, 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 blah. And, it's only, $897, but we're going to give you an even better value today. It's only going to be $597 and only so many people can sign up and like all that kind of bullshit. And then they know, and they're just preying on the weak, you know what I mean? Like the bottom feeders where, they're super desperate. They'll do anything to try to make a quick buck and they're just taking advantage of them. But there is no quick, easy way to success. Like anything that you really want to have long-term success just requires a lot of effort and grit and patience. And I know I sound like I'm probably like regurgitating Gary V's words, but it's true. I mean, a lot of the things that come out of people's mouths are true, even though it's not what you want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially where honest e-commerce comes from. You're not going to buy a Ferrari. Do you have a Ferrari?
I've got an Acura NSX. So it's like a Ferrari.
But how long did it take you to get it?
15 years.
Of hard work.
Yeah.
Almost every day. I'm sure you took a weekend off once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Yeah. But no, it's that thing. Like it's not get rich quick scheme. I'm going to spend $2,000 on Facebook ads and I'm going to go out and buy this Tesla. It's half that stuff's a lie. There's overheads in the product. Like just because you made $100,000 in sales in 1 month, like you didn't put that in your pocket.
No. And if you're smart, you won't put it in your pocket. You'll reinvest it so that you can make $200,000 and then take a little bit for yourself and reinvest the rest of it and make some more money. You know what I mean? Like it and I think a lot of it too is balance and finding, what your goals are. If you're content with that and that's paying the lifestyle that you want, then like, cool.
There's nothing wrong with a lifestyle business. There's nothing wrong with making a good income and living your life the way you want to. And you don't have to scale. Like there's nothing like, I think that's a toxic trait.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like,
yeah. Well, it's like that hustle culture, right? Where like you feel like you have to make $1 million. Like, I don't know who determined the $1 million thing. That's like the number. I mean, it's a big number, but like there's different ways to skin that cat. And for some people, $1 million is a lot of money. And for some people, $1 million means they're going out of business. So it's like, it's a relative term. So, it's like, I know people that have Shopify side hustles and they make, 20, 30, 40 grand a month. And, that's not profit, in revenue. And they, pocket, 10 grand a month or something. And like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And they'll ride that train as long as it goes. And they still have a full-time job and like with retirement benefits and all this stuff. So like that becomes like fun money for them and they can invest in kids' college funds and things like that. Like you don't have to make $100 grand or $1 million or whatever. Like, but if you're cool with the side hustle, like cool. Like no one should judge you for that. You don't have to try to be the biggest in town.
Yeah, I think it's what's worthwhile is you got to understand what your actual goals are and like don't let anyone make your goal for you. Like,
yeah,
figure out what you actually want to do, what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guarantee as you get older, it's a lot less than you think.
Oh yeah.
At least until you have a family, then it just your world goes and then you make a company to make diaper bags.
That's it.
Awesome. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today. If people want to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you?
They can check out our company website at tacticalbabygear.com. And then a personal brand stuff, around this sort of thing as well, marketing content. I have a podcast, YouTube channel, and you can get to those by going to beavbrodie.com. But you can find me those 2 places.
Awesome. We'll put links to all that jazz in the show notes. And I'm for sure going to have you back on Unprepared, the video one. And we're going to essentially break down the three step funnel we kind of talked about a little bit today, but we'll get a little bit more in place for a 10-minute, essentially like here's a done for you Instagram funnel for free for everybody.
Cool. I love it.
All right. Thank you so much.
You got it, man. Thank you.
I cannot thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their journey and knowledge with us today. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our businesses. Links and more information will be available in the show notes as well. If anything in this podcast resonated with you and your business, feel free to reach out and learn more at electriceye.io/connect. Also, make sure you subscribe and leave an amazing review. Thank you.